In this video, I'll be helping you with the ALEKS problem type called Understanding the Differences Between Designed Experiments and Observational Studies. And in this example, we're told that LaToya wants to grow corn on the farm she just bought. The previous farmer grew corn for several decades and kept detailed records of the crop production each year. These records include the amount of sunlight, the amount of rain, the average yield, and other such figures. In an effort to help LaToya out, the previous farmer compares his records of using two popular fertilizers, Earthy and SunX. He pulls his records for the 7 seasons he used Earthy on his corn and the records for the 7 seasons that he used SunX on his corn. He uses these records to compare the average corn yield for the 7 seasons that he used Earthy and the average corn yield for the 7 seasons he used SunX. If applicable, he will recommend the better fertilizer to LaToya. For our first question A, we're asked to first choose whether the procedure described above is an observational study or a designed experiment, and then to further categorize the procedure by choosing the correct type of observational study or designed experiment. Starting with the designed experiment, in that situation, we would be manipulating conditions and then seeing what happens, and double-blind would be where neither the researchers or the subjects know which condition is which. But this doesn't sound like what's happening here, because the previous owner is just looking at historical records. This sounds more like an observational study, where you're not making any changes, you're only observing results. And observational studies could be either prospective, where you identify what it is you want to study and you start making observations, or retrospective, where you use records from the past. And in this case, the previous owner is using his records, so this would be retrospective. And then for part B, we're asked which one of the following best describes the explanatory or independent variable and which describes the response or dependent variable. So the explanatory variable is the one that we suspect of being the cause. It's the one that's being changed, and the response is what happens as a result. In the first option, we're told the explanatory variable is the brand of fertilizer, and the response variable is the sunlight. And while the first part is correct, we're not saying that using different fertilizers leads to different amount of sunlight. Moving to the second option, this has the explanatory variable is the brand of fertilizer. So again, this sounds right. And the response variable is the average yield of the corn. So we can independently change the brand of fertilizer and see how the corn yield responds. This would be our correct answer. And looking at the other options, we have the explanatory variable is the corn yield. We've already determined that's response. And the last option, the explanatory variable is the sunlight, and the response variable is the average corn yield. While this combination could be possible, it doesn't say anything about the brand of fertilizer that we're trying to study. So this would also be incorrect. Lastly, for question C, we're told suppose there is a significant difference in the average yields between corn crops grown with Earthy and the corn crops grown with SunX. Would the farmer be well justified in claiming that the difference in the average yields was caused by the choice of fertilizer? So before looking at these responses, I know that observational studies such as this do not establish a cause and effect relationship. To do that, we would need an experiment. But looking at the justifications here, the first says no. The farmer has only found evidence to support a claim of association between the average yield and the choice of fertilizer. This is correct. Observational studies can show association, but not cause and effect. While the second option also says no, it also says there is no procedure, however well designed, that can give evidence to support a claim of cause and effect relationship. This is incorrect because, again, an experiment can establish cause and effect relationships. And the last option says yes and gives some justification, but we've already said no. The difference in the average yield was not necessarily caused by the choice of fertilizer. So the first option here is the correct one.